Welcome back to G.A.M.E.R. I'm your host, G.A.M.E.R here, and today, welcome back to another tier list video. And 2023 was an amazing year for horror games, and 2024 looks like we got a couple more good horror games coming out, especially if that Silent Hill 2 game does end up releasing, because that would be oh so awesome. But 2023 was just an incredible year for horror games in general. We saw remakes of two of, in my opinion, the top 3 horror games of all time. And we got, of course, my new favorite horror game of all time, Alan Wake 2, which, yeah, you've heard my opinion on that game multiple times. I think it's the best game ever. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's do the undoubtedly amazing, daring, bold, crazy tier list that would be all horror games ever tier list. So, here we go. Let's get started with, of course, A Plague Tale. Now, if you are new here and you love games, make sure to consider clicking that subscribe button. Make sure to click the notification so you don't miss any kind of videos. Leave a like. I really appreciate it. And comment, what are some of your favorite horror games down below in the comment section down below provided. A Plague Tale. Man, okay. So, here's what I'm just going to go ahead and say. I don't think either one of those games individually are one of the best games I've ever played, right? But if you pair them up together, if you play back to back, if you play 1 and 2, it is, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, 1-2 punch in all of gaming. It is the best duo. It is the best back-to-back story you can find. It is such a great arc from start to finish for both characters, Amicia and Hugo. And that doesn't even incorporate all the greatness that it has to offer, including its visuals, its amazing level designs, and with all the rats and, you know, being able to survive, and all the other side characters as well that you meet throughout the experience. And yeah, it really just is such a great journey from start to finish. The ending of Requiem is one of those endings where you will leave just absolutely stunned, and you will be thinking about it for weeks, maybe even years. And I know I'm still thinking about it to this day, and it really is just that great. And then the first one is just such something you've never really done before. It's so unique, it's so fresh, and yeah, I just love A Plague Tale with the bottom of my heart. Now, Alan Wake. I just told you Alan Wake 2 is my favorite game, like my favorite horror game of all time. It's my 3rd favorite game in general of all time. But Alan Wake 1, this is really hard because it is really good. It's not my favorite or masterpiece. Alan Wake 2 took it to a whole new level. I don't know if it's phenomenal or just great, but I think I am going to go with phenomenal. I think when you look at what it set up, especially for number 2, which I'm going to just go ahead and put it there. Masterpiece, favorite, Alan Wake 2. Pretty much we all expected this. I just absolutely love Alan Wake. And I think the first game does a really good job at kind of setting up this complicated plot, setting up this super complex plot and world and characters. And I think there is a lot of magic there. It's kind of grown quite this cult following, which is understandable because it is one of those smaller games that has like its own kind of gameplay system, has its own storytelling, and it just works so incredibly well. And then obviously with Alan Wake 2, it just takes it all to another level that I did not expect it to go, and it is the best storytelling I've ever seen in a video game or just anything in general. And it has some of my favorite characters. It has amazing visuals, a banger OST, this has the best OST out of every horror game ever made. I'm gonna just say it right now. Can't really beat it. But yeah, so Alan Wake 1, I'm gonna put in phenomenal. Alan Wake 2, obviously masterpiece / favorite. So Alien Isolation. Also a phenomenal game. I think Alien Isolation is one of the best, like first-person licensed IP horror. I think it is one of the best licensed IP horror games, period. I think what it's able to do with, you see so many clips of this where you just people getting scared walking down a corridor, seeing the alien's tail, man. I mean, it really is such a great experience. It really captures what you want out of Alien and what you want out of a horror game, and I think that's why it's so beloved by so many. Now, BioShock. It is technically a horror game by some means. It's not super scary, but it is a horror game. BioShock 1, I mean, let's not cap. It's one of the best just games in general, period. BioShock 2, I think, gets a little bit worse, but I'm going to say phenomenal. It's still just a absolutely great game. I mean, the gameplay, the story, the music, the vibe, the world is all just... I mean, it's BioShock. Like, how do you not love it's just so good. BioShock Infinite isn't on here, which that definitely shied away from the horror aspect a lot. But it has an ending that's just wild. But yeah, BioShock, man, it's just too good. Blair Witch. Okay, this will be the first game that either goes in good or okay. I think I am gonna go with okay. I think it's like a game based off of this like weird fan movie that happened like ages and ages ago. It's like super old, but it's interesting. You basically play the game through like this video camera recorder, and a bunch of spooky stuff happen in the woods. It definitely is one of those games where you're like, oh yeah, that was a horror game. That's pretty much it. Yeah, there's nothing truly special about it, I think. I mean, like I said, the whole immersion experience is neat for the first time, but after you kind of play like the first couple hours, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, it is what it is, but yeah, nonetheless, a pretty okay game. Bloodborne. Okay. Look, everybody's putting it here. Everybody's putting it here. I personally think it's a little overrated. I'm not gonna lie. I'm either at phenomenal or great. Now, don't get me wrong. It is still a wonderful game. It is still a terrific game. It is easily one of the best Souls, for sure. It easily has one of the best. Well, I am gonna put it phenomenal. I am actually gonna put it at the top of phenomenal. The more I was just thinking about it, it truly is just so good. It is one of the best Souls games. It undoubtedly has the best atmosphere in the world out of every Souls game, and just in general, period. Yeah, the boss designs, the character designs, the weapon designs, all of it, just when you see it, you're like, Bloodborne. And now it's gotten so much to the point where the game Bloodborne has created such a theme and setting that, like, when you see something that looks similar, you're like, yo, that's like Bloodborne, because it's that iconic and it's that special. So yeah, I think I definitely gotta put in phenomenal for sure. Control, man, another phenomenal game. I think it is better than Alan Wake, not better than Alan Wake 2 in my opinion, but it is still just, oh my gosh, so good. Yeah, but look, right now you're seeing something. Look how many games are in Masterpiece / favorite, and look how many in phenomenal, and look how many in the other ones. Horror games slap when you find the right ones. Yeah, but no, Control, it is such a fun game to play. You have these powers. You can like throw a bunch of objects. You have these guns, of course. Super visually creative with all the different realities bending and everything. The character is great. A bunch of the side characters are great. It does have a crazy story. It's kind of like Alan Wake 2 where the story just goes wild. But yeah, Control, I mean, Remedy Entertainment made Alan Wake, Control, and Alan Wake 2, and all of them have just, obviously, as you can see, have been just so amazing. So yeah, I definitely gotta put that one in phenomenal. Dead by Daylight. This one's gonna go in, I'm gonna put this one in good, okay? I think it is a really good game, especially if you have friends. The problem is, I don't think it lasts a long time, right? Anytime me and my friends have gone to play it, we got hooked on it, and we played it for like a week, and then we stopped playing, and then we see like DLCs come out, and we're like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's it. I think what the game is really great, but I think in terms of like where would I rank Dead by Daylight and where like my enjoyment of the game, I would put it more on the good side, just because I don't see myself wanting to play the game all too often, and I haven't really played all that much just because it's fun, but it's not like one of the best horror games I've ever played. But I have to give it credit for all these crossovers and DLCs that it's had. It is just killing it in that department for sure. Dead Island, another. Ooh, I mean the original Dead Island, man, is pretty good. I'm gonna go with great on Dead Island. I think the original Dead Island's really good. I think the Riptide DLC was honestly okay. And Dead Island 2 I think is good. Yeah, I think that's exactly where I'm gonna go with these. I mean, Dead Island 1, it takes the beloved zombie genre, and it just puts you on a really visually beautiful island. I know, beautiful with zombies. Yeah, it's crazy. And it gives you this melee combat that is just so satisfying, and it's just, I don't know, it's like a vibe. It's really just Dead Rising, which is coming up. It's just Dead Rising in first person with a whole new like setting. That's really all it is, and it's just that mindless fun with zombies that has way more of a survival aspect to it. It's sort of like Dying Light in a sense. Yeah, it just really is so much fun to play. And yeah, that's why I gotta put it there. Dead Rising 1. Oh man, this has got to be, I think this has got to be phenomenal. I mean, dude, Dead Rising is the definition of mindless fun with zombies. It is debatably the best. Well, not the best. Dead Rising 2, in my opinion, is the best. I am still gonna put it phenomenal. It's not one of my favorites per se, but it is phenomenal. They take gameplay that is so addicting, so fun, put it in a game filled with enemies that are some of the most beloved enemies, zombies, and it gives you so much to do with such little care. And that's what's so good, is it doesn't make you care about anything. It just gives you it and is like, have fun. It's just like, here, you want to smack zombies with like a really weird wet weapon? Here you go. Why? We don't know either. But you're going to do it because it's going to be awesome. And guess what? It's awesome. It's exactly that type of game. I mean, Dead Rising 2's opening was like, you're on like this motorcycle or something. I think I remember. And you're like running over all these zombies. It's like, what is going on? I don't really care. I'm loving it. That's really all you got to do when you're playing Dead Rising. Now, unfortunately, Dead Rising 3 was good, I guess. It was good, and then Dead Rising 4 I think was okay. The next two Dead Risings fell off really hard. Yeah, they're nowhere near the amount of fun, but still have like hints and a little bit of what Dead Rising is, just nowhere near as fun or as exciting or engaging. Dead Space, the original. Okay, so I'm gonna put the original. See, this is hard because truthfully, the original was a masterpiece, but personally, I think there's something better than it now. So I don't know what to do here. Okay, well, here, to start off, Dead Space Remake is now one of my favorite horror games. It's one of my favorite games. It is just absolutely phenomenal. I'm gonna put it right behind Alan Wake 2. The original, see, it is a masterpiece. Yeah, it is. I don't know what I'm about to try to argue. It's a masterpiece. I can't down it just because a remake came out that makes it better. If that remake never came out, it would still be up here. So yeah, I gotta put it up there. Dead Space, man. What can I say about Dead Space? It is terrifying. It is fun. It is cool. It is interesting. It is a really great single player experience. It has a great main character with Isaac Clarke. It has super satisfying gameplay. Some of the most satisfying horror gameplay you can find. More satisfying than like Alan Wake 2, man. It's so great. It is such a cool, like just said, you're stuck on a space station with these creatures. I forget what they call them. Yeah, man, Dead Space. And what I love about the Dead Space remake specifically is when you have horror games, obviously you got jump scares, you have these moments that give you the creeps and make you feel certain ways. That's kind of like the specialty of horror games. And the problem with making a remake of horror games, but also the positive, is when you've played the original, like I have multiple times, you kind of know what to expect. The jump scares don't necessarily hit as hard, right? You're expecting things. You are anticipating certain events to happen because it's a horror game. But what the remake did so perfectly, and I've said this so many times in my review and everything, is that it doesn't change the event, doesn't change what happens. It alters it. It bends it. Instead of walking down a corridor and an explosion happening with a monster crawling out, the lights turn off. And then an explosion happens and a monster comes out. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't necessarily change it to the point where it's a whole different scene, but it bends it to make it new, refreshing, and exciting. Because I was walking down a corridor, I'm like, oh, here it comes. Here it comes. I'm ready for the explosion. And the explosion didn't happen. Instead, the lights turned off. And I was like, what? And then the explosion happened. And then the monster came out. And it got me. It scared me. It jump scared me. And that's what I love about the remake. It's a remake done so perfectly. But yeah, unfortunately, I can't say the same thing about Dead Space 2 and 3. Dead Space 2 and 3, in my opinion, 2 is still great. 3 is good. I don't think any of them are bad by any means, but they're nowhere near the level of the original Dead Space. And I feel like that's a pretty overall general consensus of the game. But nonetheless, Dead Space as a franchise needs to keep going. Give us 4. Give us 2 and 3 remake. Give us all the Dead Space you want, and I'll take it. I'll buy it. I'll play it. Whatever. Dying Light 1. Great game. Great game. The parkour, the gameplay, everything, great. I mean, just all the melee. In the first one, at least, gunplay, great. The parkour is what makes the game shine. Unfortunately, Dying Light 2 is one of my favorites. I freaking love Dying Light 2. I'm actually going to put it right there. Dying Light 2, man, I still think this game was just incredible from start to finish. I had so much fun playing this game. I've replayed it once, I think. Yeah, it's so good. The parkour, man, is what makes this game stand out. It's literally the best part of the whole game. But not even that. I personally enjoyed a lot of the Dying Light 2 story. A lot of it was kind of weak, but there was a lot that I really liked. I think the gameplay, making it all melee, was satisfying. I enjoyed it. I wish it was a little more in depth, but for the most part, I enjoyed it. But yeah, when I think of horror games and the ones that I have the most fun playing, and my favorites, Dying Light 2 is definitely up there, for sure. Evil Dead, the game, I personally think it's bad. I think it's bad. I would even say it's garbage. I am not a fan of this game whatsoever. I do not think it stuck the landing. I personally just don't find it very fun. And that's just me. I think what the gameplay that's there's something interesting. I just don't think the whole premise of the game is right. I just, because there was another game that we're gonna get to that's kind of like Evil Dead and Dead by Daylight that I just think does it in a far superior way. And I just think Evil Dead tried too much to the point where it was just a complicated mess, and I personally did not find it very enjoyable. But that's just me. Oh boy, we've entered the Five Nights at Freddy's conversation. Five Nights at Freddy's 1, let's be honest, it is one of the best horror games of all time. It's gotta go in masterpiece/favorite. It is one of my favorites as well. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I think, is almost just as good, except I personally do prefer the first one. But I think the additions of the mask, the more characters, make it super exciting, super new, and refreshing. Five Nights at Freddy's 3, I think, is great. I think it's a little worse than the other two, but still great. It adds some new things. Five Nights at Freddy's 4, I think, is okay. I'm not too big a fan of that. I think that is the one with the bed, with the, like, where you're in the bedroom, I think. And yeah, I was not a big fan of that one all that much. It was scary, that's for sure. Help Wanted, dude, phenomenal. It is so good what they were able to do with a VR adaptation of all of the games, and just add in so much content. It really is one of the best VR games, low key, and just it was one of the best Five Nights at Freddy's games, 100%. I would actually put it over the second one, not over the first one. The first one's just too good, dude. And then Security Breach. Security Breach is really great, in my opinion. I think Security Breach is better than 3. I'm actually going to move 3 to good. I don't think 3 is great. But Security Breach, man, is... It's almost the dream Five Nights at Freddy's game, just without the scare. My biggest problem with Security Breach is it was not scary to me. It was just not scary whatsoever. And I know Five Nights at Freddy's has kind of shied away from that to a very large degree, but to me, it was literally just characters in a dark place. It wasn't like monsters or these scary animatronics, and I know that's kind of just how Five Nights at Freddy's has been now, but still, I loved being able to explore everything, and I loved all the characters in it, yeah, it was just a really, really cool experience, especially in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. Friday the 13th, here it is, guys. This is the game that takes the Dead by Daylight and Evil Dead game formula, and it just perfects it. Actually, this one came first, I do believe. I'm not sure if Dead by Daylight or Friday came out first, but Friday the 13th is a licensed IP. Oh, I take it back. Alien Isolation is not the best licensed IP. I think Friday the 13th is. It is a licensed IP captured in a game perfectly. It has all the things you want from the movies. It has all the characters. It has all the locations. It has gameplay that perfectly resembles what you would do in the movies. It has just fun gameplay in general. Not even in terms of comparing to the movies. Just in general, it's simple, but it's so addicting. It was one of those games where it was a really popular game at one point, and for good reason, because it was so fun. It was one of those games where you really wanted to be the killer. You really wanted to be Jason, and you would run the games and games and games until you finally became the killer, and it was a blast. Friday 13th really just is so special. I would definitely put it up there, maybe there, in terms of my favorite horror games. Just so stellar. Hellblade 1, phenomenal game, man. Definitely put it at the top of phenomenal. Cannot wait for Hellblade 2. It looks off the chain. I really hope it makes the top tier, but only time will tell. Yeah, Hellblade 2 is upon us. We're in 2024. That is the year it is going to come out. I'm super excited for Hellblade 2. It is a psychological masterpiece. All the voices in Senua's head are crazy. The gameplay, I think, is great. Underdeveloped, but great. It's fun. And visually, I mean, come on, it's a visual masterpiece, let's be honest. So, Hellblade 2, like, the first one I put in phenomenal. I just said all those great things about it. It's in phenomenal because I feel like a sequel can take it to that level. I think it's just missing that thing to bring it into masterpiece, and I hope the sequel does that. Hello Neighbor 1, I mean, let's be honest, it's phenomenal. It's just an absolute classic. Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, garbage. And Hello Neighbor 2, it was okay. I loved the first one. I hated the multiplayer one, and I was not crazy about the second one. That pretty much covers all the bases there. Like I said, it's a fun escape from the neighbor, do all these traps, do all these mechanics, you know, level after level, finding new ways. It really is one of those great games. I don't feel like the second one or the hide and seek one captures what the first one was able to do, but even then, the first one is still a classic, dude. Inside, a great game. It is such an interesting concept for a horror game because it's not your typical either first or third person. It's like this 2D but not truly 2D game, kind of like platformer kind of type thing, kind of like Little Nightmares, which I do believe we are getting to that, except it's not exactly like it's a really weird game to explain, but it really is very unique. I would definitely recommend playing that game. Very dim in color, and I love that. Layers of Fear, I mean, it's good. I wouldn't say it's, I'd say it's okay. I would say it's okay. It's cool. It does all these things. It's like one of those simulators where you kind of it just simulates a bunch of scary things, and you have to like kind of just pass all those simulations. It's kind of like one of those things, but it's like it has an overarching story and just an overarching theme and concept. But yeah, it's okay. Limbo, great game. Great game. It's like a 2D platformer with just black and white, sort of similar to Inside in a lot of ways, but is its own thing. And yeah, it really shines with being a 2D horror game. I think it really shines with its gameplay and with its visual and with its level design. Music wise as well, I think it's really good. Yeah, Limbo is like definitely one that was more memorable in terms of a lot of these. But at the same time, I do feel like it's not as great of a horror experience as all the other ones, so that's why I'm putting it in great. But nonetheless, a great game. Little Nightmares 1 and 2, both of these are going in phenomenal. Actually, I'm gonna put them in great. They're not some of the best. Ooh. Let me think here, because I do prefer Little Nightmares over Hello Neighbor, so I might actually move Hello Neighbor down. I do prefer all these over Hello Neighbor. Okay, yeah. Hello Neighbor's going down to great. I know, I'm sorry, but yeah, that is what I'm gonna go ahead and do. But yeah, Little Nightmare 1 and 2, I'll put 2 in phenomenal, because I think the second one does improve on a lot of the things that 1 does weak. It is just a fun short experience. These are not long games whatsoever. They are like 5 hours if you do it right. And they are just sweet but scary, and they are relaxing yet thrilling. They are creative yet straightforward, and they are horror yet kind of the casual type of game. You know, it really blends so much together into just a short, great experience. And I think that is what Little Nightmares does. And the second one just improves on all of it. Little Nightmares 3 is coming out this year. Very excited about that. It's one of my most anticipated games of the year. I hope that could get Masterpiece, but we'll see. It would have to be a much bigger game than what the first two are, because like I said, they are really short experiences. What they are is great, but it needs to be taken to the next level. And I think Little Nightmares is a franchise where you can do that. So I really hope the third one pays off. But Martha is Dead. It's a mid game. It's a mid game. There's some moments where it's like, oh, that's a really cool moment. There's some moments in this game which are, oh my gosh, they are morbid, they are violent, they are disturbing. There's like one scene where it was going viral for how like just messed up it was. But it is a interesting horror game with an interesting concept, but doesn't really stick to landing or executes a lot of the things to a great level. So yeah. Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, both great games. Come on. I mean, the Left 4 Dead games, dude, they're so fun. They're just so fun. They are also like Dead Rising mixed with Dead Island, you know. They are that first-person craziness of zombie fun. Except this one does have more of a story, and it has more of like actual meaning behind it rather than just like zombie goodness, right? But at the same time, not to the extent of some of like the best horror games of all time. Now, that being said, I do think Dead Rising being third person is still more fun. Because I would put Left 4 Dead and Dead Island pretty much on the same tier. That's how I think of it. I don't think either one are definitively better than the other. I do think the Dead Risings, though, are better. So, I will say that. Metro Exodus, an interesting one for sure. You know, you wouldn't really think this is a horror game, but it is. But the Metro games are just great in general. A lot of, I mean, I haven't played a lot. Most of them I've only played this one, Metro Exodus. But I've heard so many great things, and from what I've played of Exodus, it really is really cool. And I really do enjoy it. That's definitely a game I want to go back and finish, and honestly play some more of the Metro games, because I I think there's another Metro coming eventually, and yeah, that'd be really cool. Outlast 1. Oh, dude. I almost want to put this in the top tier just because I think this is like the scariest game I've ever played, dude. But I don't find it's not like one of my favorite games though, so I'm gonna put it in phenomenal. Right about there. Outlast, like I just said, I don't think I've ever been more scared playing a game than Outlast. That game is terrifying. And it's so good. Just everything. It's an insane experience. And, yeah, if you haven't played Outlast and you want a good scare, dude, just play. That's really all I'm going to say about it. If you want a good scare, play it. It is crazy. Outlast 2, I think, is also good, but nowhere near as great. So it's going to go in good. Prey, dude. Prey is phenomenal. Dude, I freaking love Prey. I wish this game got more love. I do understand the second half is a little weaker, but, dude, it is such a cool concept. It is so creative. The opening, especially, where the window and everything breaks and you realize you're in a facility instead of, like, the opening in general is one of the coolest openings, period. It really is super awesome. The gameplay, the creativity within the guns is awesome. It's such a great game. It really is such a phenomenal game. And yeah, I wish we could get a Prey 2. I don't think it would ever happen, but I wish we would, and I wish the game would get more love. But yeah, unfortunately, it hasn't gotten the best critical reception or hasn't necessarily been as big of a success as we probably would have wanted. But all right, we're reaching the Resident Evils. Here we go. We're just gonna go rapid fire. I'm not even gonna explain all the Resident Evils. I'm just gonna give my thoughts on Resident Evil as a whole. Resident Evil 2, phenomenal. Resident Evil 3. Now, by the way, I will say I only included the remakes of these because otherwise there would be so many. Well, honestly, that's really all the ones I've played. I've played 7 and 8. I've played 4, the original. I did add that one. But I haven't played any of the original, so I only really added the remakes for a lot of them. Resident Evil 3, dude. Ooh. I loved 3. I mean, Nemesis is my favorite antagonist. I'm also going to go phenomenal. 4... original is phenomenal because I think the remake is better. Nostalgia does not affect my ratings of things, people. All right, look, nostalgia. Like, I'm not gonna put something higher than something just because of nostalgia. It has better visuals, has better controls. It is the better game in my opinion. But if you want to put this one higher, I get it because of nostalgia. I get it. That's just not how I roll. Resident Evil 7, great. Resident Evil 8, good. People give this game way too much love because of the one character, okay? I get it. It's a great character. But come on, man. True. Okay. Maybe the game isn't great, but I'm going to go with good just because I personally don't vibe with it as much as the other ones. But yeah, those are my Resident Evil. Resident Evil, come on now. It is undoubtedly the biggest horror franchise of all time. I said it. That's just how it is. Fight me if you want. Scorn, mid. Very mid. It is visually awesome looking, super creative. It is such a neat little game, but I personally did not find much enjoyment out of it. Silent Hill 1, I'm going to go phenomenal because Silent Hill 2 is a masterpiece. One of the best horror games of all time. I mean, come on now. I personally think that... Well, hold on a minute. I gotta change this. Resident Evil 4 is also a masterpiece. If I could put Dead Space original and remake in the same tier, I could put the original and remake of 4 in it. But anyway, sorry. Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 1, some of the scariest, for sure. They have probably some of the best stories. I mean, outside of Alan Wake and A Plague Tale, in my opinion, they have the best story in horrors. well, that is also outside of another game that we do have coming up here in a little bit. But yeah, just oh, dude, such good games, such good games. Slender: The Arrival. Oh, also Silent Hill is great music, great music. Nowhere near Alan Wake 2, but great music. Slender: The Arrival. I mean, the original Slender Man game. Come on now. I mean, it's a great game. Slender Man, dude. How can you not like Slender Man? Bro, we need like a legit new Slenderman game. That would be fire. That would be fire. State of Decay 1, honestly, it was okay. State of Decay 2, I freaking love. I think it is I mean, it's one of my favorites, low key. I mean, ooh, hang on. We're gonna go with I could put it in 3 different tiers. I could put it in great, phenomenal, or favorite, low key, but I think I'm gonna take it out of favorite just because I don't think it's there. Phenomenal. I think when I'm going off the actual quality of the game, like, wait, let me compare it to other games. I'm putting in phenomenal. I think it's much better than all the games in great. I'll move Village up to great. It's better than all these, and it's. I would say it's about here. Yeah, dude. State of Decay. It's also very zombie greatness, zombie mindless chaos fun, but at the same time it's way more gameplay focused, so a lot more survival stuff, a lot more cooperative stuff. There's not really much of a story. It's just really fun, and being able to build your communities and characters is really fun. I cannot wait for State of Decay 3. That is one of my most anticipated Xbox games. 100%. Callisto Protocol. Look, so many people hate this game. I think it's great. I really do think it's great. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it gets way too much hate for everything. I'm actually going to put it in phenomenal. I don't care what anyone says, dude. I had an absolute blast with it. I think it is scary. It is cool. I love the gameplay. It is cinematic awesomeness. I love cinematic games. I just loved Callisto Protocol. Now, comparing it to Dead Space, it is nowhere near. But I think as its own game, it is really great. I mean, see, is it phenomenal? I'm really thinking about it. I might move it down to top of great. It's gonna be top of great, as well as Resident Evil 8. It's gonna be, yeah. Let me try and rank these real quick. Let me try and rank these a little bit. Yep. Yeah, I'll go with that. Put that on to top of good. Perfect. Yeah. I don't even know what I was talking about. But what was I talking about? I literally have no idea. Oh yeah, Callisto Protocol. Look, I know it gets too much hate. That's all it is. Evil Within, bro. I freaking love the Evil Withins. They are also great games. I think both of them are really great. I don't think any of them are like top tier by any means, like, but both of them are like just solid 8 out of 10s for me. I don't think necessarily the second one improves a whole lot, but in the first one, it's just more of it, and it's more of that goodness, and it's still really good. I really want a third one. I think they could crush a third one, especially with current technology. Ooh, boy, that would be so good. Evil Within by Tango, GameWorks. People made Hi-Fi Rush. Wild. Yeah, such a great game. The Forest, dude, a super scary survival game. But at the end of the day, I think it's just good. Yeah, I think it's just good. It's like if you've ever played Stranding Deep, the survival game, it's like that, but with horror in a forest. Pretty much it. The Last of Us 1. it's a masterpiece. I mean, it's a masterpiece. It is one of the best story-driven games to ever be made. Not one of my favorites, but one of the best to ever be made. It is super fun to play. Some of the best characters. One of the best PlayStation games in general. Yeah, dude, it is a masterpiece. But The Last of Us Part 2 is bad. It is bad. I'm not gonna put it garbage. I'm not. Because I personally, the visuals are top of the class. Its gameplay is top of the class. Its music's pretty solid. But its story is abysmal, in my opinion. It has good moments, but it makes it so irritating to play. And not just because of Joel's death scene, but because they make you play as a character you hate for 10 whole hours in the game. It is so abysmal to play through. I'm not a fan of the game whatsoever. I shouldn't say whatsoever. I like everything but the story. The Medium. Great game. Great game. Great use of current gen hardware with the dual realities. I know it's kind of become like a pretty common like feature, having like two different realities, but I think the game does it really well because it's simultaneous. And I think the story is pretty wild. Bloober Team as a whole is a great horror studio. They're the ones making the Silent Hill 2 remake. I think they are the perfect choice. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what Bloober Team has to offer because the Medium was so good. So yeah. The Quarry, phenomenal, dude. Phenomenal. One of my favorite games of last year, actually. It really did. It was a game that we played multiple times, a lot of hours into, just because of all the different endings and how fun the game was to play. Yeah, super awesome. And then Until Dawn, same studio as The Quarry. Again, just another phenomenal game. Yeah. Now, I do want to make a change here. I was thinking about this. When I compare games on the same tier, I'm going to move Five Nights at Freddy's 2 down. Yeah. It is still really, really good. I would put it, like, yeah, right there. Yeah, Until Dawn, I mean, it was one of the first games that, like, made you be so scared that you would make the wrong choice. I mean, it was one of those games. Supermassive does those type of games where one small little move you will be crying because you're like, no, why did I do that? And yeah, it just messes you all up. And with the fear factor of the game is still probably their best game, except I personally like the Quarry a little more, but that's just me. But anyway, that's going to do it for the horror. I know there's a whole bunch, but I've never played all these. I mean, I just found a tier list that has like every horror game. They have like Doom on here, which is really weird. It's not a horror game. But anyway, yeah, they're all the ones that I've played. Like I said, I mean, if you look at just the shape of the tier list, horror games slap when you find the right ones. But anyway, that's going to do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, definitely leave a like, leave a comment in the section I'll be provided. And please subscribe. There is a final look at the tier list right there. I'll see you in the next one. G.A.M.E.R out. Peace.